All right, people. We're back for week 3. We got a lot to unpack this week. This chapter was big for me. I feel like it hit a lot of things on the head, and it was good to read them written down. And I actually took notes this week on what I'm going to say, so maybe this video will be a little shorter. Don't quote me, but it just might be. Right off the bat, part of the artist check-in. Well, let me just tell you what chapter 3 is here. Hold on. Slow down here a little bit. Week 3. Recovering a sense of power. So just to recap, week 1 was recovering a sense of safety. Week 2, recovering a sense of identity. Week 3, recovering a sense of power. A lot of topics in week 3 that really, like I said, hit close to home. So we're on one this week. Let's go. But artist check-in for the week. How many days this week did you do your morning pages? I did like 4 out of 7, which is not as good as week 2, but we move forward. You know what I mean? We move forward. How was the experience for you? Painful, honestly. I felt guilt for not doing them, but at the same time, I feel like as I've been trying to keep up with them, it just felt like a pain. But I think that just means that I'm rounding the corner on it becoming a habit. You know what I mean? Because I'm doing it enough where it's like, all right, like why am I still doing this? And then one day, very soon, it'll just kind of become part of the day again. So still going for those 7 days a week. Did 4 out of 7 this week. It says if you skipped a day, why'd you skip it? I feel like I was skipping it because I was tired as hell this week. Sleeping in, wasn't waking up and doing the pages. And then if I don't do them in the morning, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do them at lunch, at work. And work's been busy. And other things took up my lunch break. So move past it, you know what I'm saying? But 4 out of 7 this week. Did you do your artist date this week? I don't think I did. I don't know if I really chalked anything up as my artist date. But I did not do my artist date. Yeah, just didn't do it. Need to do it, need to show up, go skating again, find a record store around here, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. But I will do it this week. I did a lot of great things, but just not that. Did you experience any synchronicity this week? That may not make any sense because we didn't go over the chapter, but I feel like I did. Synchronicity, briefly, is really just this concept of like coincidence and things happening and just feeling like they happen for the right reason, and the universe kind of doing some things and push you forward towards what you're going for. Shout out to my friend Amir Fels. I'm going to link his Spotify and Instagram in the bottom now that I'm mentioning him. But super cool that we ended up talking. A friend of mine that I've known from the internet for years, and we finally got on the phone, chopped it up, shared a lot of the music coming up with him, and he just hyped me up, and he gave me support and encouragement that I've been needing. I've been in this rut and in a vacuum now that I moved to a new place, don't have any music friends. Like, it's cool to just have somebody be like, you're fucking killing it, you know what I mean? So shout out to Amir. I needed the rejuvenation of his conversations with me, and hearing some of his music, gave me hope that I'm surrounded by people who are talented and know what they're doing. So, hell yeah. And then the last part of the check-in, were there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? Yeah, honestly, like, I'm coming in hot here on week 3 video, but I think because I kind of just got over this serious like overwhelm, and I don't want to use the word depression because I feel like that's more chronic than what I was experiencing, but just sad this week, just going through it this week. Yeah, so I feel like I'm, one of the principles, the foundational creative principles here is, as we open our creative channel to the creator, many gentle but powerful changes are to be expected. And part of the daily is to read those basic principles, and that one really stuck with me this week. It made me think like, okay, metamorphosis, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going through something, like there's lows before there's highs. So it's been terrible, but I know that's a good thing. You know what I mean? I know it's a good sign. You know. But yeah, so that's kind of what I was going through. But yeah, so week 3, recovering a sense of power. Um, Topics of anger, synchronicity, shame, and growth. And there's a couple other little things sprinkled in there, but hey, get yourself a copy of the book and read it. It will change your life, um, as it's changing mine. But all these topics I feel like really stuck out to me. Like I said in week two really didn't do it for me, but week 3 really did. So like I said, I have some notes here. The first section, chapter starts right off with anger. And I pretty much wrote down some of the things that I wanted to quote from it, so I won't be like shuffling through the book like crazy. But anger is fuel. It's like one of the first sentences of the chapter. It's the first sentence of this chapter. Anger is fuel. Listen to it. And what I really gathered from this section is anger is a signal. It's meant to be acted upon, not to be acted out. So you see people get angry and they act it out. You know, they punch stuff, they yell, they get aggressive, and that's anger manifesting itself outward. But it's really a signal to act in a certain way. So something's making you angry. Really, fundamentally, that's telling you to like take action in the opposite direction, or to do something that's gonna prevent or move away from whatever that thing is that's making you angry. And it describes anger as a friend. It's not a nice friend, but it's a very, very loyal one. And the things that kind of make me angry, honestly, would be like this state of my life as a whole. Like, what am I still doing here? Like, you know what I mean? Why have I cheated myself at a time? And why have I not made this music thing happen sooner and made substantial living from the music so I can do it more and be as genuine as I can be and make the most free, creative environment for me, and not being able to do that for myself, even though it's such a big, it's of such importance to me. Like, why didn't I do that? Why am I working boring jobs and you know what I mean? Like the people I'm surrounding myself with and all these things that are distractions and became musts when they really shouldn't have been. I should have acted sooner. So there's that frustration, that anger is a fuel just to get after it. Do things like this. Like this is very cathartic for me, because I need to talk this stuff out. Like because I don't have any other outlet. You know what I'm saying? So to be more expressive and move things forward and get out there. You know what I'm saying? So here we are. But yeah, anger is a signal meant to be acted upon, not to be acted out. So the thing here, that's really it. I mean, I think I know I said it so simply, but like really, really run that one back. If you feel angry, just take it as a sign that you need to make some kind of change instead of wallowing in your anger or letting it be destructive. You know what I mean? Because it's a very powerful emotional signal. So let it be fuel instead of, fire. But then the synchronicity that I was talking about, and really to kind of put it in my own words and what I've took this section as is the universe is kind of working all in tandem with itself, and you being a part of that. When you have dreams and you have goals and you're moving towards them, you're kind of working in sync with the universe because that's what the universe is telling you to do. You know what I mean? And that really allows doors to open up for you. One of the first parts of this is about the fear of success. And a lot of people like, I fear of failure. But in reality, I think, and I agree with her in this, is that a lot of people fear success because it's a lot more unknown. And I think about Tony Robbins kind of always emphasizes like the human brain moves away from pain and towards pleasure, but it moves away from pain first. And the fear of unknown is like such a big thing for human beings because our brains are so powerful so that we can think up all these different realities, but none of it's for sure. And sometimes that failure is for sure. You can picture what the universe looks like, what your life looks like when you fail. And that's a little bit more comforting than jumping off the ledge and finding success, and that could look like a million different things. So that can be a lot scarier. And like it says, you always hear like careful what you wish for because you just might get it, and that's kind of like playing on the same concept. It says answered prayers are scary. They imply responsibility. You asked for it. Now that you've got it, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? And so that's that really jumping off the ledge and having to meet the universe halfway. What was another thing I have in here? I think I already said it, but like I'll reiterate, when you're really chasing your true dreams, your true desires, doors just ease open for you. You show up even just a little bit and the universe opens up 3 times as much, and meet you halfway. If you're really like doing what you in your heart feel like you need to do, you'd be surprised how easy things come about. And then another thing she mentioned here, which I think is kind of a PSA in general, is like, instead of asking whether you can do something, I wonder if I could do this, like if I have the ability to do this, like speak in a way that's opportunistic and definitive and putting yourself in the reality that you want to be in. So say you are doing this, I always tell my friends, like, they'll always be like, oh, I really need to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, no, like, you want to do X, Y, and Z. You are doing X, Y, and Z because you want to put your brain, because your brain doesn't know the difference. Like, create in that instant. Why not just create the reality that you're trying to move towards? And one day those things will sync up. Your thoughts and the world you live in will sync up because it's the thoughts were there first. So like, say you are doing those things, say you want to do those things, like create a desire and create that reality instead of creating a longing, or saying I really should do this thing makes it feel punishing instead of like a desire to do that thing. And saying can I do that instead of I am doing that puts that separation between you and the reality you're trying to be in. So live in the reality that you're trying to be in until you're there. You know what I'm saying? Boom. But one quote in here sums it up. Reboot. We like to third time's a charm. We like to pretend it is hard to follow our heart's dreams. The truth is, it is difficult to avoid walking through the many doors that will open. And I feel that heavy because as I continue to make art and show people and meet new people and play music and make music videos and stuff, sometimes I don't feel very sure of it. Like I know I need to be doing it. I know I have a desire to do it, but maybe it's you could use the label imposter syndrome or something, but I'm moving towards it. Maybe I don't necessarily feel in agreement with it, but I know there's an overall desire to move towards that dream. But even though like my heart maybe not always in it all the time, I know that's what I really want. And then the people around me, the opportunities around me will just kind of like come. Like I said, I show up not even 1, but like a quarter, a 0.5%. Like the universe shows up, 3-4 times over back in my favor, whether that's people's encouragement. I don't really care at this point, but the numbers, people streaming the music and stuff, it's like you showed up, you showed people this art, and they're returning it back to you. So it's there, you know what I mean? Just walk through the door. Like the doors, if you're going through the door that your heart's telling you to go through, like it'll open easier than you think. And don't be scared of that. That's what that whole synchronicity chapter or section means for me. And then this next one is huge, and I'm really glad I get to talk about this and put it out, because I feel like this is such a big thing for me on a personal level, and I think it's this thing that everyone is dealing with on a cultural, like a huge level, but no one's talking about it in this way, and I think it's the root of a lot of people's issues. It's huge, but shame is so crazy. So let me just go off here. Okay, so given this, everything I just said about synchronicity, You move towards your dreams. Things are going to be easier than you think. This is her response. Some of you were thinking, if it were that easy to take an action, I wouldn't be reading this book. Those of us who get bogged down by fear before action are usually being sabotaged by an older enemy, shame. Shame is a controlling device. Shaming someone is an attempt to prevent the person from behaving in a way that embarrasses us. Making a piece of art may feel a lot like telling a family secret. Secret telling, by its very nature, involves shame and fear. It asks the question, what will they think of me once they know this? This is a frightening question, particularly if we have ever been made to feel ashamed for our curiosities and explorations, social, sexual, spiritual, otherwise. And it's crazy because, like, you know, not to get too into it, but like in my own experience, in my own childhood, like there was a lot of instances of people telling me, like, what are you doing? Like, what you're doing is wrong. Your whole mode of being is wrong. You know what I mean? Like crazy stuff. And everyone has those voices, especially as kids, because when you're popped out, like you have no filter. You're gonna say whatever you want, whatever gets you the things that you desire, whether that's attention, food, whatever. Like you're just gonna do with no filter until you're shamed, left, right, until you kind of like bounce, and then you become a square. You know what I mean? Like when we call people a square, like that's what it is. You're round, and I'm all about being round. You know what I'm saying? Like be round. Don't be shaving off no edges. Like round. You know, and shame is that controlling device, that mechanism that squares you off and creates a person that fits within the boxes of societal shames. You know what I mean? Like it's the reason we wear clothes. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, I'll keep your clothes on. You know what I'm saying? But it's the same kind of thing, just in so many different ways. And you know, using embarrassment. This is what I wrote. Using embarrassment or a lack of acceptance as a mechanism to prevent a person from behaving a certain way. So I think it's really about that. It's like, you know, if someone's gonna do something, if you do something that someone else doesn't like they're gonna make you feel embarrassed because that's how they're feeling for you. You know what I mean? And they're trying to project that onto you, so you kind of get the hint on a society, like a cultural level, like, hey, don't do that because you're bringing light to this thing that we don't want to acknowledge. You know what I mean? Like that's why people tell you put your clothes on, and why people, you know, I don't even know, they just shame you, like to make you in a way that makes them comfortable in the world that they've, you know, their perspective on the world. And shame is crazy. Like it's preventing so many people from just doing what they want to do, and it's crazy. And I think the biggest thing I've gotten from going to therapy and doing stuff like this and making music and affirmations is just to shed shame. Like no shame, you know, no shame. There shouldn't be none. But you know, like I said earlier, making art and sharing it can feel a lot like telling a secret. And you know, that's kind of what makes artists great. My favorite artists are the ones that really just were the messiest and the most honest, because other sources in our lives aren't. And that's what makes artists great, is saying those things that you don't hear other people say. You know what I mean? They're saying what everyone else is thinking. They're saying what you're thinking, and you identify with those lyrics. You identify with the emotion coming through their voice, and you don't hear that every day, so you want that outlet through the music that they're making. And that's the outlet that I'm getting from making the music, you know? Another thing that I think I kind of already said, but, you know, a child from here's just a story in the book. A child from an alcoholic home gets in trouble scholastically or sexually. The family is flagged as being troubled. The child is made to feel shame for bringing shame to the family. But did the child bring shame? No, the child brought shameful things to light. The family shame predated and caused the child's distress. What will the neighbors think is a shaming device aimed at continuing a conspiracy of illness. That's what I'm saying. It's just like this illness that spreads between people, because it's like, you know, as a kid, I was told not to do this thing, so I got to be here to tell you not to do it, because you got to get on the same page. Like, we don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, as human beings, as civilized human beings, like you're gonna feel shame because I feel shame, and then you're gonna be brought up into that. But that's not what moves society forward. That's not what gets people to be comfortable and healthy. You know what I mean? We're talking about health here. Another thing I have starred in here is like this concept of artists and people who are pushing to create and get to deeper parts of themselves. Like they'll create this thing, and it happened with me really recently. Like I feel like this is why I haven't been as prolific as I want to be, is this weird disinterest that I have with the art. And let me just kind of read how the book words it, because I don't know if I could put it in the best words, but many artists begin a piece of work, get well along in it, and then find, as they near completion, that the work seems mysteriously drained of merit. It's no longer worth the trouble. Excuse me. To therapists, this surge of sudden disinterest, of it doesn't matter, is a routine coping device employed to deny pain and ward off vulnerability. Adults who grow up in dysfunctional homes learn to use this coping device very well. They call it detachment, but it is actually a numbing out. He forgot my birthday. Oh well, no big deal. You know what I mean? Teaching a young child that putting anything out for attention is a dangerous act. Once they go through a lifetime of this kind of experience in which needs for their recognition are routinely dishonored. You know what I mean? I kind of butchered the way she wrote it there. I said it in reverse, but the point's there. Dragging home the invisible bone, like a dog, is how one recovering artist categorized her vain search for an achievement big enough to gain approval of her family of origin. That's what I mean. I guess that section of the book is fire, but that's not what I was talking about for myself. I feel like it's this fear within myself and my own vulnerability, and maybe being vulnerable to those around me and to you guys, and using my own shame, or my own shame is kind of like manifesting as this disinterest to keep me away from the pain that may come from getting down to that source, so those source thoughts, you know what I mean? Which is what I actually want to put into the music, you know what I'm saying? So it's important to recognize that, and I really appreciated that section because I've never really heard it like that. And this last section is a little bigger, but I didn't really take too many notes on it. But growth. So let's read a little bit from it. Growth is an erratic forward movement. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Remember that and be very gentle with yourself. To what I was saying about earlier this week being rough. A creative recovery is a healing process. You are capable of great things on Tuesday, but on Wednesday you may slide backward. This is normal. Growth occurs in spurts. You will lie dormant sometimes. Do not be discouraged. Think of it as resting. And then one thing I made a little note and put it on my desk. Easy does it is actually a modus operandi, so Latin word there. Basically, I looked it up right before this. A particular way or method of doing something, especially one that is characteristic or well established. So I think what she means by that is like easy does it is more of an absolute way that things happen, you know, and that's how it goes. Like easy does it. And when you really break that down, she says it really means easy accomplishes it. And I love that little rephrasing because it's like, and I've heard this before, like in some respects, success should be easy. You know, if you're doing that's kind of what she said about synchronicity. Like if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, if you're doing what you're made to do, it will come easy, and you should be able to move with ease towards your success. There's going to be parts, don't get me wrong, like this whole thing's part of my success, but I've been trying to wake up at 5 a.m. and write in a journal while I'm half asleep. That's not easy. But when I sit down to the page and the things come out, it's coming out with ease because I'm doing what I really should be doing. You know what I mean? It's all coming without a filter. And I think that's kind of the thing is like move with ease, and you'll find that you're kind of in the grooves, the train tracks of the universe. Like you will fall into the grooves that you're supposed to be in when you move with ease, and that stuff is powerful, powerful stuff. Another thing I had underlined here, I'm just gonna kind of go randomly here, but God helps those who help themselves, and I love that because there's a lot of ways in which I don't help myself, and maybe are self-deprecating on a physical level, like in my own space and stuff. Oddly enough, in the name of like, screw it, I'm gonna go record and stuff, but it's not always the most balanced thing. Another thing is really her kind of calling to us to make a commitment to our own solitude and quiet time. You know, even if it is just a couple times a day, just taking a breath and asking yourself how you truly feel in that moment. Listen to your answer and respond kindly. If you are doing something very hard, promise yourself a break and a treat afterwards. Yes, I am asking you to baby yourself, she says. We believe that to be artists, we must be tough, cynical, and intellectually chilly. Leave that to the critics. As a creative being, you will be more productive when coaxed than when you're bullied. Another thing where it's like, and I think that comes back to that disinterest I've been feeling recently, is because it's coming from this negative connotation I have with art, because I'm like, I need to show up every day, grind it out, da-da-da. But you definitely want to show up every day in certain ways, but sometimes that's just grabbing my guitar while we're watching TV and I write a chord progression, and then boom, a week from now, I write an amazing song on that chord progression. But like, you can't show up in the same way every day, you know what I mean? And you gotta have to, like I said, fall into those grooves of life that are calling to you. Like don't try and force things, and you realize it comes a lot easier. And there's a lot of activities she had us do this week. You know, remember how I said at the beginning of this video that it was going to be a shorter one? And look, it's already my longest video. But yeah, a lot of great activities here. A lot of like childhood stuff. I think, like I said, some of them were explaining like your favorite childhood foods, your childhood bedroom, favorite traits that you had of yourself as a child, listing friends that nurture you, listing some of your habits, which ones are good, which ones are bad, you know, and trying to work on those. 5 people that you admire, and then 5 people that you'd want to meet who have passed away, or 5 people who you think would be you'd like to hang out with for eternity. That kind of stuff. Yeah, and then that was pretty much it. We're on to chapter 4 already, which is awesome that I did 3 videos, man. I'm here. I love it. What was I gonna say though? Oh yeah, on the childhood stuff. I had really powerful journaling day, and I'm not allowed to read it, so I'm not gonna. I mean, I can't read it to you, but I especially can't read it to myself. But a morning pages the other day, just talking to my inner child, and honestly, if you guys have never done that before, I know I've never done that before. I highly recommend it. Like thinking about a version of yourself picture a version of yourself, a younger version of yourself, whatever comes to mind, I think is what you're supposed to be thinking of. But that version of yourself, write them a letter, like talk to them, write down what you would say to that kid, what you see in that kid, like encourage that child the same way you would encourage a little sibling or a little cousin or whatever. Like that was amazing. Yeah, the other day. I'll be doing that more whenever I get the urge, and I highly recommend it. But yeah, that was part of week 3. Next week, recovering a sense of integrity. I'm really interested to see what that week's like. The word integrity makes me think of The 4 Agreements, another great self-help book. But Artist Way, Julia Cameron. Like I said, week 3 in the books, baby. We in the books. I was chugging my turmeric tea. Like I said, I was coming in hot for week 3, but I promise you I'm not even caffeinated. I'm actually really tired. But that's it. See you later.